So good afternoon to everyone, and so this is a really interesting topic, five aggregates, five living aggregates, and most of you are familiar with the topic and most of you know how to list them. Shall we list them? Rupa Khanda, the form living aggregate, then Vedana Upadana Khanda, the feeling living aggregate, Sanya Upadana Khanda, the perceptions living aggregate, then Sankhara Upadana Khanda, the mental formations living aggregate, and then the Vijnana Upadana Khanda, the consciousness living aggregate. So we all know how the list, how to list them, and that very much we all know. And on the other hand, I like to connect it with the Four Noble Truths. So that is where we get a deeper meaning to it. So there are certain suttas where Buddha particularly mentioned, so what is dukkha khanda? So what is dukkha arya satya? So the noble truth of suffering. So noble truth of suffering, he sometimes defined, as you all familiar, as in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, very familiar explanation is there. And setting Jati Dukkha, Jara Dukkha, Marana Dukkha, likewise mentioned. And ultimately, he mentioned Sankittena Panchupadana Khanda Dukkha. In brief, this five living aggregates is suffering. So that is one instance that we can recognize where the combination between the Four Noble Truths and the five living aggregates come into the picture. On the other hand, there are certain suttas Buddha immediately simply saying, okay, what is dukkha arya satya? What is the noble truth of suffering? So there he mentioned Panchupadana Khanda Dissa Vachaniya. So it's a synonym for five living aggregates. So the five living aggregates is the dukkha arya satya. So the four, so you know the Four Noble Truths. So among these Four Noble Truths, the first noble truth is the dukkha arya satya, and the five living aggregates is what? Dukkha arya satya. So likewise we can understand, so we are now getting the importance, we are now understanding the importance of the five living aggregates, and we know how to name them, we know how to list them, but do we know how to experience them? So where are they? Where are the five living aggregates? Are they outside us? Are they sort of in the moon? Or so they are very much ourselves in a way. So whatever we experience, typically we experience as beings, as a person, as an individual, as a person, and kind of things. We very much like we objectify things and we individuate people. So this is how we typically experience things. But Buddha deeply explained, so all this experience can be explained through five living aggregates. All different kinds of materiality, we can say the whole physicality can be explained through the form living aggregate. So each and every living aggregate, not only the present living aggregate, but Buddha divided into a very broader scope, telling Atita, Anagata, Panchuppanna, Ajjata, Bahidda, Hina, Panita, Holarika, Sukuma, Dura, Santika. So likewise 11 dimensions are there, so that the clinging aggregate is not a very limited scope, it has a fairly broader scope. Say for example, if we understand what is form clinging aggregate, so the form clinging aggregate, we can simply say the one definition is Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo. That is the earth element, water element, air element, fire element. But that is not merely what you experience right now. Assume that some kind of elements have manifested in the past. So that also comes under the clinging aggregate of form. Whatever elements happening right now, arising right now, what we can experience right now, that is also comes under the form clinging aggregate. What is going to happen, going to say arise in the future, that is also comes under the form clinging aggregate. Atita, Anagata, Panchuppanna. So Atita is the past, Anagata is the future, Panchuppanna is the present. So all the, in terms of the time-wise, we can divide, or in the past also this form cleaning aggregate was available, currently also it's available, in the future also it is available. So in terms of the time, we can understand, okay, it's a fairly comprehensive aggregate we are talking. On the other hand, then he is saying Ajjata Bahidda. So we can recognize, okay, this form cleaning aggregate in terms of the internal. So I can say, okay, this body is form cleaning aggregate that we can recognize, that we can touch, we can feel. So this is the internal form cleaning aggregate. But that is not the only part. Whatever external, maybe some physical, whatever external form, that also comes under the form cleaning aggregate. Internal, external, this is a kind of a division that sometimes we make use of for easy understanding. And this is a kind of a conceptual division. And so that too is considered internal, external, all are in the same form cleaning aggregate. And then the near and far. So some certain items may be very near, I can touch this one, but maybe the other one, maybe this camera I can't touch. But this also we merely divide, saying it is closer to me, it is very far from me. Maybe if you consider the moon, Jupiter, very, very far. That too comes under the same form cleaning aggregate, near and far, dura santika, and hina panita. There may be very, say I certainly like certain type of form cleaning aggregates, certain ones I might not like, and those ones I might like, very sublime, very subtle, those are also comes under the form cleaning aggregate, and some ones are very gross and very rough. That too are coming under the form cleaning aggregate. And then what else? Atita Nagata Pachuppanna, Ajjata Bahidda, Hina Panita, Olarika Sukuma. Olarika is again very much like a very gross form aggregate, and the Sukuma is the very subtle form of form aggregate. So likewise, so form cleaning aggregate is a fairly comprehensive aggregate in that sense. So whatever you can think of as material, that comes under the form cleaning aggregate. So you can't think something, any kind of materialistic point of view, you can't think anything outside of it. Every materiality is coming under the form cleaning aggregate. Similarly, we can define the feelings cleaning aggregate. So there are different kinds of feelings are there, pleasurable feelings are there, painful feelings are there, equanimous feelings are there. And if you come to the mind, there are feelings like somanassa, domanassa, we are happy sometimes. Accordingly, we may feel some kind of a feeling. Sometimes we are worrying and regretting, and that also indicates some kind of a feeling. So the either physical or mental, different forms of feelings are also considered as the feeling aggregate, and many different divisions can be included based on the, say, ayatanas, and many divisions are there, I don't need to go in detail. And as I mentioned, for the form cleaning aggregate, that 11 dimensions, we can consider the same 11 dimensions to the feelings as well. So whatever the past, what we have experienced, if there were some painful feelings, that's also in the feelings aggregate. If you are going to have some future pains, pressures, that also comes under the feeling cleaning aggregate. So likewise, as before, that those 11 dimensions can be explained to the feelings aggregate as well. And then the perceptions aggregate, sometimes we call the sanya upadana khandha. So we use a certain nimitta, certain signs, certain marks to recognize, and accordingly we can have certain perceptions generated in our mind. And perceptions being aggregate, say, very subtle, sometimes it's even difficult to understand. Now say for example, if I am recognizing this monitor, so I am seeing its color, the dimensions, its appearance. So all that are helpful for me to name it as, this is the monitor, this is a computer monitor. So my eyes are capable of picking certain kind of shape-related, color-related signs from this object, and I already have seen a monitor, that information is already stored in the mind. So this information, this gathered data, whatever the picked information, this marks, signs, which I have currently experiencing, currently I have gathered, is now mapped with my already available data. Then the mapping tallies, okay, this is the monitor. This is a computer monitor. So likewise, the perception feeling aggregate is quite helpful in the recognition part. Sanjanati, Siddhikkhave Sanyam Vadami. So the definition Buddha giving is the Sanjanati. So you are recognizing. So this recognition is going through various distortions. We can discuss maybe later. So, and we might have recognized in the past, the present, the future. All this comes under the perception feeling aggregate. And it may be very subtle forms, maybe gross forms, that's also coming under the perception feeling aggregate. And on the other hand, we can talk about how it is diversified with respect to eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and the mind. Through the eyes, we can recognize the forms, right? The size, the shape, the color. So therefore, rupa sanya, the perceptions, various signs and marks related to the rupa. And then the saddha sanya. Saddha sanya, now say different signs and marks related to the sound. Now assume that a little kid is making a noise over there, and maybe a dog making a noise outside. So how are we recognizing, this is the sound of a kid, this is the sound of a dog. How are we distinctly recognize them? That is because we can recognize certain marks with respect to the sounds. Certain sounds have certain tone. So when a male person is talking, I can recognize, this is a male person who is talking. When a female is talking, okay, I can recognize, this is a female who is talking. So likewise, even the sounds level, these little marks are there, little signs are there, so that we are capable of recognizing, okay, this is a male sound, this is a female sound, this is a dog barking, this is a kids talking, likewise. So the sounds level, also the sound sanya, the saddha sanya are there. So many, now when I'm giving a simple example, but you need to think broadly, how many different varieties of sounds are there. All are recognized using this sanya upadana kama. So all these things we can cling to. I can I might like when the kid is talking, but I might hate when the dog is barking. So the clinging may be possible even to this perceptional level. And the memory, our knowledge, what we have gathered, what we have stored, that all comes under the perception feeling aggregate. And then if you consider the formation feeling aggregate, another very, very interesting, very deep area, formation feeling aggregate. Similarly, you can think of with respect to the smells, these kinds of signs and marks are there. With respect to the touch, different signs, marks are there, so that we can recognize, okay, now I am hitting a needle, or when I am touching the carpet. So how are we differently, distinctly recognized? So that is because of the signs and the marks that we can pick from this touch sensation. So likewise, it's a fairly broad area with respect to these signs and perceptions, the marks. So it's broadly categorized into 6 main categories: Rupa Sanya, Saddha Sanya, Gandha Sanya, Rasa Sanya, Pottabha Sanya, Dhamma Sanya. And if we come to the formations in aggregate, Sankhara Upadana Khandha. So typically volition is the main contributing factor there. So we willfully, intentionally do something. And on the other hand, various mental factors are there. Say, I can love someone, I can hate someone, say, I can be jealous to someone, maybe I might become restless, the mind can get concentrated. So these are different forms that the mind might take. All that comes under the formations aggregate. So very deeper meaning of the formations, the sankhara, is defined in the Kajjaniya Sutta, in the Kanda Samyutta. Sankatang abhisankharonti bhikkave sankharang padita. So the conditioned phenomena is further fabricated. Conditioned phenomena are further prepared by this formations aggregate. Now say for example, say when I show this one, some of you can recognize it if it is familiar to you, and probably if you know, okay, it is being used during the Dhamma sermons, preaching activity, probably you might have respect towards it. And someone might see, okay, there are certain damages have happened to this, better buy a new this Pavangata to the Bante because it's not a new one, I better replace it with a new one. So you get a different kinds of feelings, different kinds of perceptions, different kinds of ideas. I just show this. Okay, I just show this one. I didn't ask you to think about it, I just showed it. But we can't merely stop at merely seeing it. So we can't stop by mere seeing it, but I add my own judgments to value judgments to it. I might like it, I might hate it, I want to buy a new one, I want to replace it, I want to maybe steal it. So likewise, I can add my own perceptions, my own ideas, my whatever the conditioning into my mind can be added to the experience, and that whole addition part, whole fabrication part, whole preparation part is happening because of the formations aggregate. Sankhara Khanda is the responsible one for all these preparations. Actually, we are talking fairly deep psychology here. In a way, this is fairly deep Buddhist psychology we are talking here. So, five training aggregates are fairly deep. So, the more you understand that thoroughly, so you understand the Four Noble Truths in a way. So, assume that you are trying to thoroughly experience these things, experientially understand all these things. That indicates that you are trying to understand the first noble truth, the Dukkha Satya. The interesting thing is when you are understanding more and more thoroughly about the Dukkha Satya, naturally the grasping becomes less and less. Your craving becomes less and less. That is the second noble truth. We are supposed to let go, we are supposed to abandon, we are supposed to reduce the grasping. That naturally starts happening because now we have a thorough understanding about the aggregates, five clinging aggregates. When that understanding is there, the clinging becomes less and less. The clinging becomes less and less. The second noble truth starts, functioning. Now, with respect to the Four Noble Truths, we can simply say the first noble truth we have to understand. Dukkhang Arya Satyam Parinyeya. I have to fully comprehend the first noble truth. How about the second noble truth? Dukkha Samudayang Arya Satyam Pahatama. So you need to abandon, you need to let go of the craving, which is available to the, actually for five clinging aggregates, we have the clinging, the grasping, the desiring, craving, that has to be let go of because that is the reason, that is the cause for suffering. So the second noble truth suggesting us to abandon that desire, let go of that craving. And the third noble truth is to realize, okay, dukkha nirodhang arya satyam sachikātama. So you need to realize the third noble truth. And so when you start practicing, time to time probably you feel calm, very relaxed, very quiet. There is no any agitation, there is no any burning, there is no any burden to the mind. You feel quite a release type of thing. So we are getting closer to Nibbana in a way. So the experience where there is no burden, there is no agitation, there is no burning. So that makes us very closer to the Nibbana type of experience. So the more we realize the clinging aggregates, then automatically the letting go process may start. Time to time you may experience complete let go of the craving. I'm not saying it is a permanent thing, but at least temporary you might experience, okay, now I feel calm, I feel relaxed, maybe less agitation, no much thinking, no much conceptual proliferation, no much overthinking, mind become quiet. All these things are there. So we are getting closer to the third noble truth, that is the Nibbana, say the Nirodhariya Satya, that we need to realize. It is not that superficially we read a book or we wish at the end of the funeral, okay, you attain Nibbana. Rather experience, one has to experience it at least for a while. And this whole development of the path is the Noble Eightfold Path, the Fourth Noble Truth. The Dukkha Nirodhagami Patipada Arya Satyam Bhavetama. So you need to develop it. Actually, the Four Noble Truths, 5 clinging aggregates, and then the next part is the Satipatthana, the development of the mindfulness and the clear comprehension, all that. So the Satipatthana comes to the picture. Now I have given you some kind of a theoretical explanation about the 5 clinging aggregates. But that doesn't mean you understood it. You simply get a superficial idea what they are, and you might already have that. And children may learn that even at the Sunday school. Everybody knows that. But how to experience it, how to thoroughly understand it, isn't it? To how to thoroughly investigate it. Then we need a fairly good, very comprehensive, practical approach. So that is what being presented in the Satipatthana. In the Satipatthana Sutta, if you are practicing, say, Kayanupassana, then you get a fairly good opportunity to understand the form clinging aggregate. If you are practicing Vedananupassana, then you get a fairly good opportunity to understand the feeling clinging aggregate. If you are practicing Chittanupassana, you are getting a thorough understanding about the consciousness clinging aggregate, maybe the formation clinging aggregate. So these things are there. And once you reach the Dhammanupassana, you get the opportunity to comprehensively understand all 5 clinging aggregates. So the 4 Satipatthanas are giving us the opportunity to practically, thoroughly experience this whole scenario, the 5 clinging aggregates, and then naturally the letting go process would happen, and time to time the calming down, the relaxation, the letting go things might happen. The whole development is the Noble Eightfold Path. So I think this is enough as the kind of a beginning of the discussion. So I invite Dr. Abhisin to continue. Yeah.
Thank you, Bhante. Sorry. Bhante has given a very elaborate description of the 5 aggregates. There is hardly anything else that I have to say. So I'll just go on a simple discussion. If somebody calls your name, what would you do? First thing you do is show yourself or put your hand down, isn't it? Yeah? That is your body. And you feel that here I am. You are showing your body. That's the aggregate of form or body. And if somebody says, good morning, then you feel happy. If somebody says, get out of the way, then you feel unhappy. That's the feeling aggregate. Right? Yes. Then you open your eye and see, there is this little ball. Immediately you understand, you know what it is. That is the perception, sanya, aggregate. And then you know, what am I going to do with this ball? And then my mind starts working. That is the mental formations or sankhara aggregate. And this whole thing gives me some idea what to do and think about it. And I am aware of what happened. I am aware of this ball. I am aware of what you say to me. I am aware of calling me. That's the consciousness aggregate, vinyana. We think this, when you say aggregate, we think it is like a heap all existing. I am, as far as I can remember, I am from my childhood grown. It's not like that, it's changing all the time. 4 aggregates are changing every time, every second. Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana, they are arising and keep going away. Now you are listening to Bhante, and that has gone away. Yes. Now you are listening to me, so your aggregates are working all the time. It's changing, all the time changing. The 5 aggregates. The body is also changing. It's changing much faster than we know. You know our body is made of what are called complex molecules. This is all this stuff. From head to toe, skin, everywhere. And those molecules are made of combination of atoms. Atoms are made of subatomic particles. Now, according to quantum science, subatomic particles are made of quarks and neutrons and things, very tiny quantum particles. But we don't see it like that, isn't it? If you put like that, it's very hard or smooth or like that, and there is temperature, everything. This is what Buddha said 2,500 years ago, that there are four main elements: solidity, cohesion, temperature, and movement. They are combining to form all of us. That's the body, the aggregate of four, body aggregate. And within our mind, when we see, hear, taste, smell, or even without doing anything, when you are thinking, you have some feeling. Either you are happy, or sad, or neutral, or the feeling is there. This is how the Buddha described the human being or personality, to show that there is nothing permanent in it. He analyzed the personality into five components. And these five components are changing all the time. So very important to know that your aggregates are changing. Every second it's changing. Although the body is changing, we can't see it because it's a slower change. And that is why he sort of compared these five aggregates to five things. The body, he said, it's like a lump of foam. When you see a lump of foam from a distance, it looks like a nice, say like ice cream or something like that. It looks like a solid thing, but when you go there and touch it, you know it is not solid. There is nothing in it. So the body, there is nothing substantial in it. Similarly, the feeling is like a bubble, you know, bubble, water bubble or some soap bubble or something. It can burst any moment. Like that, it's changing all the time. Our feeling is changing all the time. Sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are sad, like that. And the third one, the perception. Perception, he said, is like the mirage. You know what a mirage is? Yes. On a very hot day, if you see the air glitters like water. That's why they say the deer run looks seeking for water, and the more you run, the farther it gets. The mirage. Now, for example, when you see a tree, you know the leaves are green. Are they really green? Are they really green? No, they are reflecting green rays. So it's a mirage. The perception is a mirage. And then the mental formations. It's a nice one. It says it's like the trunk of a plant and tree. When you cut I don't know how many of you have seen, when you cut a plant and tree, inside there is no, what you call hardwood. There is no substance in it. Like that, the mental formations is working very hard all the time, changing. And then the last one, the consciousness. They say it's like a magic show. Now when you wake up in the morning and look out of the window, you can see the sun is coming up. And you say sun rising. And then in the evening it goes to the other side and it's setting. We say sun rising, sun setting. Is that what really happens? No. What we are doing is we are turning towards the whole world. We have the place in the earth we are living is turning towards the sun. So what we grab most, what we like most, what we cling to most, we say ourselves, myself. When you analyze that into these five components, there is hardly anything substantial in it. That is what Buddha wanted to show. His trick was to divide the person into 5 components. And people came and said, Bhante, I think I have something inside me, I have a Atma, no soul inside me. Then Buddha will ask, what do you think is the soul? Is it your body? Then if he says body, then he will say, if your body is changing, you can't stop change. You are a small child and adult, now you are growing old. How can your soul be permanent soul? If your body like that, all 5 components, one by one, he always used to show they are changing, and therefore there is no soul. That was the main reason for analyzing a person to 5 components, to show that there is nothing permanent inside it, and it's all the time changing. So this is the sort of full explanation given by Buddha to show in substance or lack of self. So we have been speaking ourselves and you are almost falling asleep. Time to start asking questions. Anyone want to ask questions?
So you know,
There have been speak.
Any other mic? No.
Now's a mic somewhere, I don't know. Yeah, okay.
you can repeat the question.
Yeah.
So basically, I was wondering, when like with advances in medical science, now you can freeze an embryo. Like, where does the consciousness go when you freeze an embryo?
When you freeze an embryo.
And when you freeze an embryo,
Yeah, there's a bit of a problem about that. The problem is when we have not been exactly told when the consciousness arises in the embryo. We take it as at the time of fertilization or fertilized egg. That cannot be, because sometimes the fertilized egg gives rise to 2 embryos. Yeah, if the consciousness arises in the fertilized egg, it wouldn't have arisen at that time. It must have arisen after the thing divided into 2 embryos. But this is my personal belief, is that the consciousness arises when your brain has formed. Brain starts working when the consciousness arises. This is my personal feeling. Otherwise, it's a problem that we can't. Similarly, like when you are unconscious, what happens to this thing? We say that your bhavanga or the life continuum goes on, right? But if you are on a life support for a long time and your brain dead, that means the consciousness must have gone, no?
yes.
Because I don't know whether we have heard, there was a famous actor in Sri Lanka who was attacked by an elephant. Jackson Anthony. He was on life support for months and months. But his EEG was flat.
Yes.
When they did the EEG, it showed only a flat line. So the consciousness must have gone. So like that, when the consciousness arises in the embryo, I think it's a question that we'll have to leave to the science to solve it in the future. Now this feeling thing, most of the things have been solved already. For example, with what's called the functional MRI scan, that what it shows is which part of the brain is working at the moment. You know, our brain takes about 25% of our energy. Therefore, blood supply is limited to various parts only. The whole brain is not given blood all the time, all the parts. When certain areas are working, the blood supply increases there. That is how the functional MRI scan knows when you are thinking which part of your brain is working. Marvelous, isn't it? So now they have found out that, for example, the 5 aggregates, feeling, perception, mental formations, they all arise due to what is called phassa, contact. Contact is not touching. When I see something, my eye contacts the light, but that's not the contact we are talking about. Contact is your brain is preparing to get the data in. And now they know that it's formed by a circuit of neurons called the attention system, dorsal attention network, DAN. The moment something I hear or I see or something, the DAN starts. There is something coming. And then it will identify, it's coming from the ear. Yeah. Then it takes all the stuff into that area.
That's like the chalana, isn't it? In the
Bhavanga chalana. Yeah, it is the changing of electrolytes in the nerves, neurons. What happens is the potassium ions are pulled out and sodium out, and started like that. There's a change, and that activates the working. And then what happens is what's called the central executive network. Then the data goes to that, and it will go here and there and then find out what's happening. In the right side of the brain, we'll know something black, round, something like that came. Then it will send the message to the left side of the brain, and it will say, yes, we have seen that. It's called a ball.
Stored memory, isn't it?
Yeah, from memory.
That's right.
From memory.
Yeah.
So the 5 components, they are working all the time, non-stop, 24 hours a day. From birth to death, the 5 components are working in our body and mind.
Without us realizing it as well.
No, we don't realize. That's the thing.
Subtle feelings.
Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful, no? Buddha said, what Buddha Dhamma says, there is a thing called Poson. I mean, it's now proved, no? There is a separate network that it comes alive when there is data coming in from the eye, ear, or somewhere.
Grows on the chest.
Yeah. Any other questions you want to ask?
So when we have brain damage, what happens with like consciousness?
Well, it depends, because what they think is that when some part of the brain is damaged, other parts of the brain take over with time. That is why some people recover after some time. Now, supposing a person goes blind, those networks are left without any work to do. So what happens is the sound from what the ear part takes over. So the blind people are very, they can hear very well, they can identify people from the way they walk, like that. Because that part of the brain has been taken over. This is called neuroplasticity. They say that happens from whatever the age, from birth to death, brain can regenerate itself. Any other questions you want to ask? You got another 15 years? Yeah, unfortunately, we can't find her. You can't get that. No, you can't take it.
Namaste, Dharma.
Then you can come forward and ask the question. Yeah.
Perception is like a mirage. Can you explain me more than?
Perception like a mirage.
Perception like a mirage.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because
following.
what you perceive is not the real thing. That is why it's called mirage.
Yeah.
Mirage, you don't see, it's not water, no, you see it as water.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you see a green leaf. Is the leaf green?
Yeah.
No. The leaf is reflecting the green light to you. We don't know what the green leaf is. We can go and touch it, but it will be soft or hard or whatever it is. We can say that, but we can't say the leaf is green.
But we see green.
You see?
It's a similar word, maybe come from Sanskrit. In Hindi people, I know, you always talk about it. Maya.
Maya.
Is it similar?
It's Maya, yeah.
Maya.
Maya is mirage.
Maya is similar.
Yeah.
Reflection is green.
Everything but green.
Sorry?
It's fair to say that the leaf is everything but green.
But green.
It's not green because it's reflecting.
It is absorbing all the other colors in the light
Yes.
and reflecting back the green. You think the sun is rising from the east and setting down from the west.
It's others. I don't know. I'm a little confused because we consider leaf green all the time.
Yeah, that is why. Now, like that, the animals consider the mirage is water all the time.
Yes.
Is that so?
Yeah, they run behind it,
That's right.
Yeah, they are running to that.
running for water. The more they run, the faster.
Yes.
Sometimes one person could see another one, say one boy looks at a girl, thinking that she is very beautiful and fair, like
Yeah,
later on realize she's not fair. You know, at a distance, and when you go closer, it's totally different. It is the same explanation can do. But another person will
yeah.
see in a different.
Yeah, that of course, difference in seeing the same thing different ways is because of your different mental factors in the mind that arises. Now, as when we see the Buddha's picture,
Okay.
we feel very happy, calm, and
Yeah.
very, very peaceful.
Yes.
But somebody else with another religion might not feel it like that.
Feel that.
That is why when Buddha went to what you call Bharadwaj or somebody, he was doing work in the paddy fields. He said, "What is this shaven-headed fellow?
Yeah.
Huh? It's a bad luck for me." And tried to chase him away. Whereas one of the followers would have welcomed him immediately. It depends on how your mind works. Like that now, supposing you walk quietly on the road and then you see somebody whom you don't like, oh, you are angry coming. What will happen to your feeling? You feel angry, isn't it?
Yes.
If you don't, and you don't like it, you don't like to see it. So then your brain starts working. And then if you are a wise, peaceful fellow, you might cross to the other side of the road and go away. Or because your anger takes you over, and then you go and catch him and ask, why did you say such and such a thing? And then start falling into trouble and might end up in police station. This is what the 5 aggregates will do to you if you are not careful.
Thank you.
Yes. Sorry, there is another question.
I would like to ask a question from Chandraratana. Actually, it's about when during our samsara we change from one form of existence to another existence. The 5 aggregates, it becomes 3 aggregates, 4 aggregates, 1 aggregate only with one consciousness. But so when we transform from 5 aggregates to purely consciousness existence, actually, what happens to the other rest of the
Aggregates.
aggregates? Yes.
So that's why sometimes in the definitions say, now when he was answering that, talking about the form aggregate, that another thing is that we might get the idea that the 5 aggregates are essential for the continuation, but in the formless realms, the arupa,
Exactly.
arupavachara brahma loka, or the immaterial brahma realms. So you all know that mainly the 4 aggregates are existing. Form aggregate is not essential for the continuation. So there's an interesting sutta talking about the consciousness and the relation between consciousness and the other aggregates. You can refer to the Kanda Samyutta called Poson. So the understanding is that any other aggregates can work as a kind of a footing, work as a kind of a home for the consciousness aggregate. Rupa upayang bhikkave viññānaṁ tiṭṭhamaнаṁ tiṭṭeya rupa ramanaṁ rupa patiṭṭaṁ nandu pasecanaṁ buddhiṁ virulhiṁ vepullaṁ āpacci. So the rupa, the form aggregate, is becoming a kind of a foundation, kind of a stand, kind of a, say, an earth for the consciousness aggregate to establish. Similarly, the feeling aggregate appear as a home, as an establishment for consciousness aggregate to properly establish. Similarly, the perceptions aggregate, similarly the formations aggregate. So time to time, the idea is the consciousness aggregate are associating any of these aggregates and establishing there, either one of them is enough. Okay, if you have all 4, that is enough. I mean, you can use any of these 4 possibilities to stay, 4 possibilities to grasp, 4 possibilities to establish. Or if you consider the arupa realms, the immaterial jhana brahma realms, so there are only the 4 aggregates are there, but that is enough for the consciousness to continue, because the feelings are there, the perceptions are there, then the formations are there. But there may be other instances like what you call the asanya sat or something like that, non-percipient beings. So there are also even though the perception is abandoned, perception is temporarily suppressed, but the others are available. So likewise, so the consciousness aggregate also arising and passing away, but it is not essential to have all other 4 for its continuation. Even one is available, that might be sufficient for its continuation. So you can refer, this is actually related to Vipassana in a way. So in Vipassana meditation, what we are trying to do is how to minimize this clinging, how to minimize this grasping, how to minimize this establishment which happens between consciousness aggregate and the form aggregate, consciousness aggregate and the feeling aggregate, consciousness aggregate and the perceptions aggregate, consciousness aggregate and the formations aggregate. So as we thoroughly develop fair amount of understanding, this clinging become reduced, clinging become very much like decoupled, then the consciousness become unestablished. So these are some interesting area. So we typically know kind of consciousness which is fairly distinct where it is selecting, it is say established on one thing, established on something. So this is one form of consciousness. But another deeper level, Buddha is talking about anidassana vijnana, apadittita vijnana, where there is no establishment. So there is no any name and form which is contributing towards the establishment. So likewise, these are very interesting way that we can understand Dhamma. So it's not mere theoretical understanding, but if one is able to now say, for example, you are practicing anapanasati meditation, and probably you, after some time, you might feel, okay, breath almost has become very subtle, isn't it? I mean, at the beginning it was fairly gross, and I can feel the in-breath, I can feel the out-breath, and I can't feel the other part of the body, but only my feeling is depending on the breath. But that breath also becomes subtler and subtler, and there may be an instance that you can't even perceive the breath. Right? So the consciousness hardly get a chance to establish now on the form aggregate. So the practicing of the Kayanupassana giving us a kind of a way, kind of a mechanism to withdraw this grasping from the form aggregate. So the development of Kayanupassana helps us to reduce this grasping to the form aggregate. Similarly, if you are thoroughly understanding the feeling aggregate, then it will reduce the grasping to the feeling aggregate. If you are practicing Chittanupassana, Dhammanupassana, those will help us to reduce the grasping to any of the other aggregates. So ultimately, one may be able to maintain kind of a mind which is not grasping, which is not holding on to anything, which is not identifying, saying me, myself, etc. But kind of a fairly non-grasping state of mind. So that is where we are moving towards a Nibbana, where non-grasping state of mind. That's not no identification as me, myself, I am, etc. So therefore, some interesting areas are there. We need to explore these things and, if possible, to experience these things.
Yes, I understand this. I understand this. The different the ways the five mantras work in human beings, but when my question was related to the other forms of existences where all the five mantras may not exist. And the main question is when during how does karma and vipaka, for example, if we take one form of existence where Vedana does not exist, but when we are reborn as a human being again, how does the earlier karma gets reconnected to to influence our present our form of births? I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, but in between different types of the two form of the existence that has reached these. There are certain existences where there are only consciousness now. So, but the so-called I or me or whatever, there is a certain entity which is being reborn and who gets the results of the former actions he has taken in previous life as in terms of rupa, for example, somebody has, how it, the vipaka takes in.
Yeah, we are now running out of time.
Yeah.
I will try to give you a quick answer to that.
Yeah.
Now, what we call the immaterial world, where there is no body, but only the consciousness. It is the result of karma that was done by attaining the immaterial jhana, results of that jhana. Right? That results of jhana, because there was no liking to have a form or a body.
I understand that I'm not talking about consciousness, but if happens to the other?
They don't arise. They don't arise, only the the body don't, the body doesn't.
It related to rebirth, see?
Yeah.
From the realm of only consciousness, if you are reborn as a human,
Then the body will arise.
yeah, this is it. How the body of course will affect us. For example, a disabled person, he may be born as a disabled person, or with different features, we all are different.
You know what happens is if you are.
How does we understand we are whole? That it is the karma and vipaka of the rupa consciousness. With these results, with our comments.
Yeah, I think we'll have to go to a lengthy discussion on this. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. There is one more question to be answered. Sorry, I will speak to you later on. Yes.
There's one very simple thing I want to say.
Yeah.
Einstein said E equals mc squared. So energy and matter, in sense, are interchangeable. So you can go from a material world to an energetic world.
So I think the main problem here is that science is lagging behind Buddhism. So for example, Einstein said E equals mc squared. So we now know that matter and energy are interchangeable. So what exists as a pocket of energy, then later on exists as a form of matter without any energy, and then go back to being matter. So in other words, the Anupa Brahma work, that people exist as energy without any matter form, can be converted into another form which exists as mass substance with energy or without energy. So it kind of all makes sense.
Yeah, that depends on the karma. No? When the karma force is finished, if you are only as matter, only as energy in a immaterial world, when that karma force is finished, unless you are partly enlightened or something, then your past karma will take over and come to a plane of life where there is matter and energy both. Like human world. That can happen. It depends on one of the past karmas that you are born again. What's the other question, please?
Just a small question.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned that conscious go away from the body, body gets formed is whole. So much body can't be warm, the consciousness is there. But still the body gets warm. Once the consciousness goes up away from the body gets cold. So, and the body is there still, warm body, consciousness should be inside.
Not necessarily.
But
because due to present day medical sort of things, you can keep the body warm even if the consciousness is not there. A dead body can be kept warm. But a normal person, what happens is when the consciousness is gone, the metabolism stops.
yes.
When the metabolism stops, the body can't produce heat, and that's how it goes cold.
Oh, I suppose the body straight away the conscious falls, body gets cold.
Yeah.
Otherwise, without the consciousness, there's nothing to work, even though medical things, still it's not warm. Because the consciousness is the one is giving the body to run. That's where the conscious comes. That's why even when it comes out of the school, until the conscious comes, it's not working. According to that, I can't understand.
Sorry, I can't. What happens is now, if supposing somebody dies, yeah, at death, what happens is once the consciousness is gone, the metabolism working in the body, in the cells, stops. When the metabolism stops, then there is no heat produced. And that is why the body goes cold, and not only that, it starts decomposing.
Yeah. According to the medical knowledge, they say that they can keep the body warm.
Yeah.
So what's happening then? That's all the consciousness is gone out.
Your consciousness doesn't go out, it finishes there.
Yeah, finished. It's not going to be there.
You can't revive it. In fact, recently they have been trying to do that type of thing. What they have done is they have collected, these abattoirs where they kill pigs. They made them to cut the neck off, cut the head off the pig's body before it died, and then fitted into it all the blood and everything. And they kept it going on and on. And the metabolism was there, the warmth was there, but they could never get the consciousness back. They said they are still trying. Experiments are going on at the moment to see whether you can revive a brain after it is decapitated from the body. Do you know that they are doing that kind of experiment? You must read the New Scientist or American Scientist book. Every month you get something new happening. That is how now they are fast catching up with Buddhism. Only thing I don't know how soon they can catch up. We have now passed the time, unfortunately. Thank you, Bante, for very kindly consented to come and have the discussion. Is. We all, when we are born, we feel that there is something inside us, and we call it myself, mine, and like that. And so we have some kind of view of life. And Buddha said there are two kinds of views, the right view and the wrong view. He said the wrong view is micca dutti, right view is samadhi. And this wrong view is the reason why we are in this samsara. Ignorance, ditthi, mana and tanha. These are the reasons that keeps this cycle going on. Ignorance or moha, then mana, all the time comparing with others, myself, others, thank you very much, myself and others, like that. You are separating yourself from others. And ditthi, what do we think our life is? So, ditthi can be divided into two types. One is ditthi about our personality. The second is ditthi about the world and what is going to happen to us. The personality view is called sakkaya ditthi. Sakkaya ditthi is the famous word, everybody knows that. Sakkaya is sort of translated as the personality view, that we are a person, we have a mind of ourselves, and everything others are, when you see others, they are others, they have their own minds, and then all the problems come. Either you like them or you don't like them and you fight with them or you like that. These are the problems that arise in the world because of this sakkaya ditthi. Sakkaya, actually the sakkaya really means everything is existing. we are existing, we are living, we are going to live, say, 50, 80, 90 years. Therefore, we are existing. Actually, Buddha said, no, we are not existing, we are changing all the time. You can't say we are existing because every time we are changing. Therefore, Sakkaya Ditthi is the thing that causes most of the problems. And then we start thinking, now what will happen? How did I come here as a person? Did I live before this? Or somebody created me? Then what will happen to me when I die? Is that the end of everything? Or will I be somebody else, reborn or reincarnated or whatever it is? This kind of idea has been going on as long as human beings arrived in this world. Because what are called the anthropologists of 19th century, who went and lived in the northern Canada with the Eskimos or Inuit people, found out that they believed there was reincarnation. They said when somebody dies, he is born in some nice warm place. And then he will spend life there, and when he grows old, he will die and then come back to our family again. So reincarnation or rebirth was there in those tribes. Then they went to Africa and investigated before the Christianity went there. There again people thought when somebody dies, they will be born somewhere and then come back. Then what happened to the other places like Egypt? When you die, they thought your soul, what they call the car will go and live in another world. And that's why they built pyramids and contained a lot of things for them to carry for the other world. Then it came to the Central Asia and Europe. They thought that when you die, you will be born as what's called preta, the Vedic people. Then later on, when they started believing in God, they said, right, the God is the one who is going to receive us. And we will go and join with the God and live in some place like a paradise. Or if you have not followed their instructions, the God, if you didn't love God and be faithful and was not faithful to God and did not follow His commandments, then you might be sent to a place called purgatory to train yourself before you are brought back to paradise. Others thought, no, there is nothing like that. If you didn't follow His instructions, you will be sent to hell, and if you did, you will be sent to paradise. So these kinds of ditthi or life views came all over. In China, it was the world of the ancients. Like that. These sort of two kinds of views, that there is something inside me which is permanent, Sakkaya Ditthi, and then what happens to me after death gave rise to, according to Buddha, 64 types of views. And those views were called Micchaditthi, but short in Buddhist books, Micchaditthi is just called, named Ditthi, straight away. And Ditthi is what you call one of the unwholesome mental factors. And if you believe in other people who believe that there is no afterlife, the soul will perish after death completely. That's called materialism or annihilation. It's another extreme kind of ditthi. This one that mind or the soul will continue to live is the other side, Sasvata Dishti. The other one is called the Nastika Dishti, materialism. So Buddha said those two are completely wrong. And especially if you believe in what you call the Nastika Dishti, that there is nothing after death, then you are bound to do things that you would not do if there is an afterlife. That is why in one of the discourses or sutras called Apannaka Sutta, he said if you do harmless things, if you don't harm people, if you do harmless things, if you live in harmony with others, and if you are generous, kind, then when you are dead, it doesn't matter if you don't believe in it. But if there is afterlife, then you will find that you will be in a good place. So he said it's much better, even if you don't believe in afterlife, to be good, to do harmless things, and live in harmony. So this is the main sort of two extreme views, that there is a permanent thing in us that goes and reincarnates, and the other one that there is nothing and then ends at death. Then Buddha explained there is a middle way, and he called it the Sammaditthi. The middle way is that there is no permanent soul, but your what you call the stream of consciousness will not end at death. It will arise in another form, in another place. And he, in fact, named 31 planes of life divided into 3 spheres. One is the sphere of sensory organs, where we live. And there are about 11 planes in this sensory world. The second one is what's called the fine material world, where those people have only the eyes and ears as sensory organs, because they don't have to eat food and to continue living. They have what's called the fine material body, which may not be carbon-based like our body. And therefore they don't need to eat any food to live. They can use the whatever it is to live. And therefore they don't need the tongue, nose, and the body. Their body is fine material body. Then the third one is where there is no body, but only the mental components, mind only. And our consciousness, stream of consciousness, depending on what we have done now and also in the past, at death will go to one of the other planes. And it will keep on doing this cycle. And there is no end to this cycle, and there was no beginning to this cycle. Buddha said we can never comprehend when it started. Although the people who believed in God said it was created by God. And then Buddha said this is the Sammaditthi, that our life will go on in cycles of births and deaths, till we decide to do something about it and stop it. The only way to stop the cycle is to stop birth. And to stop birth, we have to get enlightened. That is the short message that Buddha gave. So he described how this cycle goes on by sort of showing what's called the dependent origination. How our mind and body work during life from birth to death, and it produces certain actions, intended actions. And these actions are what's called karma. And they give results later. Sometimes they can give results immediately, but most of the results come later. And that is how this cycle is kept going on, because of the karma we produce. And we produce karma because of our ignorance, which is that we believe that we have a certain mind of our own, and we own everything, we like everything, and sort of grab everything. What you call tanha, thirst, or greed for everything. Those are the things that drive this cycle, he said, sammaditthi. And therefore, he explained how it works, how the dependent origination works all the time in our life. As long as we are awake, it is working. And it gives rise to the karma, and the karma gives rise to results, and results cause this cycle to go on. This is what is generally called the cycle of dependent origination. And there is no creator, nothing creator does. And as other people believe, it's not only nature, there are so many conditions which give rise to this cycle. So this is what he said, sammaditthi. And he said, to get rid of this sammaditthi, this cycle, we need to get rid of the tanha, greed. We like to live, we like to see good things, we like to hear good things, we like to eat good things, feel good things. And because we like that, we do things that are harmful to others. That is karma. Sometimes we do things that are harmful to ourselves because we like things. Again, that is karma. And because of these things, this cycle is driven by this thirst or tanha. And how can we reduce this tanha is the problem, he said. And it is very difficult because you can't sort of stop liking things in life immediately. But you can gradually start not being greedy and not being attached to these things. And that this gradual training takes long time. Maybe so many cycles of deaths and births. That is the problem. So he has prescribed what he called the Eightfold Path to gradually develop this what he called dispassion for life, for what things in life. And how do we do that? Because we know everything is impermanent. Because if it is impermanent, therefore we can't cling on to these things. And gradually, now we discussed about the 5 aggregates, Panchaskandha. And he said that is the reason why we are going on, because of our clinging to these 5 aggregates. And to stop that, we have to gradually start training. First, we have to be generous. We have to learn not to get attached to everything, but try to share things with others. That's the first step, dana, generosity. Then we have to be very careful in where we live. Not harming others, not harming yourself, not harming both others and yourself. Live in harmony, be kind, and that's the good sign. For that, he prescribed sila, precepts. for people like us 5 precepts, and you can do 8 precepts once every full moon day or something. Get away from all the things that you are attached to in the household, come here and spend the day and try to be without them. That is the idea in taking 8 precepts. That's a gradual training. Even when you start sort of Buddha Puja or worship, you come and give flowers, incense, you spend money and give in appreciation of Buddha for what he has done. That's generosity. Then you take precepts, 5 precepts, that's sila. Then you think of the good qualities of Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Say Itipiso Bhagava, the 3 Gatha. That is meditation, training your mind. Calm your mind, thinking of those qualities and see whether we can practice and develop some of the little tiny bit of those qualities at a time. And then we recite Karaniya Sutra, radiating loving kindness to others. That is again mental development. You are trying to sort of get away from this attachment to these worldly things gradually. So we are practicing the Eightfold Path when you do these things. Little by little. As one of the Dhammapada Gatha says, that a river will be made by little drops of water collecting. Like that, one day we'll really feel this is not worth, this life with all these things is not worth living. Because at the end, we will grow old, fall ill and die, and then we don't know where we will be born again. So make sure that we go to a better place than here by doing good things, living in harmony and developing generosity. That's why we do what are called punya, karma. But not to go to a better place and live forever. Like, say, doing a Katini and becoming a Sakkiti Rajya, king of the world, who will live hundreds of years. At the end, you will have, when you finish your credit, you will have to come back again. So, what we need to do is do the Katini, but by this good thing, let us be born in some place where we can again keep on doing this Dhamma practice and develop our mind, so that one day we can become enlightened and give up all these things. So these are the steps of the Eightfold Path that we are doing now. That is the important thing in life. That is the Sammaditthi, the good view of life. I think I have been talking the whole almost 2 hours now. Let's just start discussing things. Okay.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
This Eightfold Path.
Yeah.
Before that, Path of Nibbana.
Yes. Can you take that?
I listened to the talk about one thing, 5 things we need to develop.
Yeah.
Shraddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Prajna.
Yeah.
So after Shraddha,
Yeah.
so we all, I believe all of us have developed certain level of Shraddha.
Yeah.
That's why we come here.
Yeah. You know that Saddha is not exactly faith, it's confidence. Confidence in what he says.
Doing what is right and what is wrong, like that. And then Virya.
Yeah.
Virya is
effort.
It's not effort, it's a great effort.
Yeah.
One day I heard from a respondent.
Yeah, there are 4 kinds of effort.
In Sri Lanka, Vijaya, said, effort to pass advanced level is you just pass the advanced level. If you make great efforts, you can get 4 years like that.
Yeah.
You have to make great efforts. It's called Vijaya. So Vijaya, four types of Vijaya. So that is the second step. Then only you will get Sati. Some monks.
No, Sati is the central one.
Yeah, Sati is the central one.
That's the important.
And before that, you have to make great efforts.
Yeah.
So if you can explain something in this Eightfold Path, Samma Sankalpa, Samma Vata, Samma Siddhanta, Samma Ajiva, and Samma Vayam. That is
Effort,
great effort. Really. So I think I believe great effort, Virya, Sata Samya Pradhana Virya comes first before going to
Samadhi.
Definitely we can reach Samadhi, but before going to Vipassana, people will differentiate, they will explain about Vipassana different ways. Actually, today we are practicing Vipassana.
Yeah.
To be honest, while sitting here, because we have given up our daily activities and come here. Yeah? We have understood that those are not, we cannot stop everything.
That is Vipassana. That's everything is impermanent. Yeah.
Without involving other activities. So because we know that those things are not common. So if you can explain something about the elements of Sata Samya Pradhana Virya in this Eightfold Path.
The 4 types of effort is, one is not to allow what are called bad thoughts to come to your head.
Yeah.
What's called unwholesome things. The second one is, if a bad thought comes to your head, don't allow it to grow. Supposing you see somebody you don't like, and then when you see him, you get angry. That means your bad thought has come to your head. First thing to do is to say, don't say, I am angry. The moment you say, I am angry, you have got hold of the anger. What you need to say is, an angry thought has come to my mind. Immediately it's deflated. That is virya, not to allow bad thoughts to come. And if it has come and if you are angry, don't jump and do something without thinking. You cross to the other side of the road and don't look at the fellow. That is, get rid of bad thoughts that has come to your mind. Second one. Third thing is, you must think, that poor fellow, he has told bad things about me and he is going to hell because of that, and feel sorry for him. So a good thought has come to your mind. And then you start radiating loving kindness to him. Let him be happy and well, no worries. That is, you are developing the good thoughts that have come. Those are the 4 types of effort. But when it comes to things like meditation, it's a very difficult thing to do, and you get sometimes very disheartened when things don't happen. Your mind goes all over whatever you try to do, right? And then you try very hard, keep on doing things harder and harder. This happened to one priest called Sona. Sona was a violinist. He used to play the violin before he became a priest. And he tried and tried and tried, and he didn't stop trying. Then Buddha came and said, Sona, when you play the violin, if the strings are loose, what will happen? There will be no good sound, Bhante. Then he said, if the strings are too tight, what will happen? Again, it will screech, it will not give music. That's what you are doing, Sona. You are trying too hard. So this effort thing also, there is a limit that you must go. Don't try too hard at once. Within means. Now, for instance, I can talk much, but I get angry easily. Sometimes. Say somebody cuts across me on the road when I'm driving. But I have, by practice, I have learned not to get angry and calm down. That fool will crash with some, let not be him causing an accident with me, let him go and do the accident somewhere else. Like that, it's a gradual training. Effort, gradual training. About the mindfulness or sati is like the middle of the balance. One side you get the confidence and effort, right? If you have too much confidence also, you can't succeed. Because sometimes you have too much confidence and said, let Buddha take me to Nibbana. I am confident he will take me to Nibbana. He will never. He said, I can show the way, but I can't take you to Nibbana. You have to do your own. On the other side is Samadhi and Panya. Samadhi means you are quietening your mind from running with various types of thoughts. Try to keep your mind on one object. Most common we are doing is what we call anapanasati, breathing. You try to keep your mind on breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, and in between there is always a gap. And during that gap you can get other things coming to your mind. It takes a long, I don't know about others, it takes a long time to do that. Now I know I can do a little bit more than I used to do. I am gradually improving. And then Vipassana is Panya. Think everything is not self, there is no permanent self, everything is impermanent, and everything is suffering. That is why now Buddha said that these 5 aggregates that we are carrying ourselves is called dukkha. That Bhante explained in one of the sutras in the Kanda Samyutta. He says, instead of dukkha, he says, it is the same thing as panchaskandha or 5 aggregates. Because of these 5 aggregates that we are going on in this life. And we are happy one moment, we are sad one moment, we don't know what will happen to us any moment. And even if we have a very happy life, now see the royal family. They are going on very nicely, and all of a sudden cancer. Yes. What happens? Dukkha. Even if that doesn't happen, we grow old, we fall ill, and we die. So the net total, when you count, if you put 2 columns and happy, sad, happy, angry, you will find the other side is more. That is why it is called dukkha. And that is why this panchaskandha is dukkha. As long as we have this panchaskandha, we are in dukkha, suffering. And once, in fact, I think Sariputta, one of the main disciples, said to other bhikkhus, this is like I am carrying something like I am carrying a dead animal on myself, carrying my 5 compound aggregates, panchaskandha. But it doesn't mean that you have to say everything is dukkha and be unhappy and not laugh or do things in life. Yeah? That's, people misunderstand that and say Buddhism is pessimistic. They are talking about dukkha all the time. Dukkha is not only bad things, even happy things. You have your birthday and be happy, have a nice meal, and then after next day morning it starts raining. All that happiness is gone. So even happiness, when it doesn't last, it is dukkha. That's the problem. That is why it is called dukkha. But it doesn't mean that you should not celebrate your birthday. Celebrate your birthday, you know that next day you wake up miserable. It's okay, I am grown another year. For example, my teeth are falling, my God. That is dukkha. But it doesn't mean that you should not live your life. You should be happy and calm on the things. Try not to harm others when you live your life. And try to do good things. Any other things that we need to discuss? I think we have another 20 minutes.
Since I asked about Samma Sarvasammapada Vijaya, Samma Vayama is the first step of Pranya.
Two words.
Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. So, Samma Vayama, what I understood was, we can practice every moment, every time in our life.
Yeah.
While walking on the road, while traveling in the bus, right? People, different way they will behave. Sometimes driver will shout at you. Someone else might shout at you.
Yeah.
At my workplace, young people, around 30s, who have never learned Buddhism, they are Hindi, right? They have said to me, they are different. People are different. Just ignore. Just hold me. If one person is reacting in a better way, other person is reacting in a different way. So someone else will say, just ignore it. They are different. That's what they learn from their village.
Yeah, it is.
So what I am saying, Buddha has taught everything very clearly, black and white. I am saying this Samma Vayama is the most important, one of the most important steps, because it's the beginning of the third step. Without Samma Vayama, lots of people are trying to do Satipatthana. This is also Satipatthana. This is also Satipatthana. But people don't being misled by, to go somewhere and do other things. Like Mama kira nata, Mama kanitay, Magi kira nata. They say 1,000 million times. Still they have got proofs of all developments. You have to get it up on like deep clean. In a laboratory or somewhere, they clean the place daily. But at least twice a week or once a week, they have to do deep cleaning. So Samma Vayama is a deep cleaning of our mind. That's what I mean. And if you have to say anything, I'm prepared to accept. Yes.
Well, Satipatthana is not only during 1 hour that you sit. Buddha says that you must be mindful. Whatever you do, walking, sitting, eating, drinking, even going to the toilet, he has mentioned. Be aware of what you are doing. That is Satipatthana. Now, in the modern psychology, they have given it a new name because they don't want to call it mindfulness, because the moment you say mindfulness, the Buddhism comes in. They want to drop Buddhism. So they have given a new name. They have called it metacognition.
Yeah.
Metacognition. The moment you say metacognition, then you don't have anything to do with Buddhism. Metacognition. Metacognition. M-E-T-A, metacognition. Because this mindfulness has become a billion-dollar industry. So they want to get rid of mindfulness and say metacognition training. So you have to be mindful of everything, which is very difficult. I know I can't be mindful all the time. I am at a very low level of practice, I think. I can't be, I try to be, but I can't be mindfulness all the time. But if you can be mindful all the time, he said you can become enlightened in 7 days. In the Satipatthana, it says. But that is the difficulty. You can't be mindful all the time. So we are on the slow train. We can't do the express train. So this mindfulness is Satipatthana, mindfulness. And all religions have a common, the first 2 steps of, apart from Samma Ditti, the other steps are all common to all the religions. Samma Sankappa, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta. They are all common to all the religions. Therefore, they can be practiced by everybody without a label. And that's why even your friend said that each one is different. You ignore them. Yeah. You understand that people can be different. But don't try to make them like you.
No.
That is the...
No, you understood wrongly.
Yeah.
What I said was, Samma Vayama, Mama Monoid in it, Mama Katie and it, Mummy Isiaga and it, Tauki, the Kamarmona, the Bandot Marmona, the Magi reaction, every movement, it is mind, it will help to develop mindfulness.
Yeah, it's mindfulness.
If you could maintain this sort of quality, I've tried so much.
Yeah.
That is what Buddha said, that is the good understanding of Buddhism, Buddha's teaching. They said, they never told me like that. People are different. One Buddhist, one monk at a different temple, twice they say. Buddha's teaching, how you think, one monk told me in Sri Lanka, when I was inside the temple, if someone comes to you with a knife, right, he's going to stab you. What you are going to do? You have to somehow hide and escape, thinking that he's going to do a wrong thing. He's having sympathy to him and to save your life as well as having sympathy to the person who is going to kill you. He's from Vipassana. We are at Buddhist Road. He just saw me and called me and he wanted me to sit down and he told me like that. So Buddha said, due to 4 or 5 reasons, we should not attack, we should get away from that, so that we are helping the person who is going to kill you, like that. So that the young people told me like this. So they are great. They have learned Buddhism. What I said was, Buddha's teaching is black and white. To be honest, straight away Buddha said. So they also have learned. What I am trying to say is, Samma Vayama is first step. Why is not given first priority? Because Samma Vayama you can, if you could practice Samma Vayama, then only it will reach Samadhi. The science.
Yeah, the thing is, it is not given as a first step because not all the people want to escape this cycle. There are some people who like to live in this cycle. They don't want to practice meditation or anything. They want to give dharma and do all the things so that they'll be born better next time and go on like this. There are various levels of people who want to practice Buddhism. Buddha has not given them up. That's why they gave 5 precepts and all this generosity and all these things. If you don't want to try, it's up. That's why Buddha said, I can show the way, but I can't do. You have to do your thing yourself. And that is why Samma Vayama comes later, because if you want to escape this cycle, then you start Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. The last 3 steps. But the thing is, when you start practicing the first one, Samma Ditti, then it starts growing. Gradually it grows with each step.
No, I totally agree with that. There's no issue. No, I was talking about not Samma Ditti. I always believe Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa are the first steps. I always believe. What I said was, you mentioned about Vipassana. Vipassana comes later. Yes, I believe.
So this Ditti or view of life comes up in several places in Buddhism. It comes as what's called the latent things inside us. All the time it is latent inside us. It can come up any time. We forget that we are impermanent. We forget that we don't have a permanent sort of soul or anything, and that it's all suffering, and then we do things. So it is what's called latent mental factor, anusaya. Then it's also called asava. Asava means something like, when you empty a bottle of vinegar or something and you don't wash it, if you put something in it, it will taste like asava. No? Yes. So it is something that will ooze out when you see things, when you do things. It can sort of come out of your mind, asava. Then it is one of the 4 unwholesome thoughts. They are connected to what's called greed all over. I don't know whether those who have studied Abhidhamma would know that there are 12 types of unwholesome thoughts. Of those 12, 8 are with greed or attraction. And of those 8, 4 are with ditti, bad view. Other 4, even with the good view, they can be unwholesome. Then they are also called perversions, vipallasa. So it comes in many places. This miccha ditti or bad view of life comes up as, in many places in Buddhism, described in various ways. Because it's very important. Ditti is very important. That's why start with Samma Ditti. Unless you have a correct view of life. If you think, I am created by a God, God has said animals are made for the use of human beings. So I'll go and kill a cow or something like that for meat. Then bad Samma Ditti. And you are committing some unwholesome deed for which you will have to pay later. That's why it comes as the first step. Once you develop Samma Ditti, then you want to go to the next step. Samma Sankappa. Then you don't develop these bad thoughts. I want to kill and eat, or I want to punish somebody. That is the next step. Then you start doing things which are good. Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta. Because there are 3 stages when bad things come up or good things come up. One is it is latent in your mind. It's called anusaya. Then it comes to your mind. You see sort of goat or cow are good for meat. That means pariyuttana stage. That is, bad thing has come to your mind. Then if your ditti is bad, then you go and kill the animal. That is called vitikkama stage. The 3 stages when things, the main thing is to stop at the pariyuttana stage. We can't, unless we are enlightened, we can't get rid of things that are latent in our mind. So the first thing is to, when it comes to your mind, stop there.
Bad thought came to your mind.
Yeah. And if you want to do a good thing, when it comes to your mind, develop it better. Keep on doing things. It's not easy. It's not easy. I don't know, I have found it myself.
Yes.
It's not easy to follow all the steps. It's a gradual training. I hope I am getting a better person every day in my life. But sometimes I still get angry sometimes. My household will bear witness for that, unfortunately. But it's only goes to only Samma Vacha state. No Samma Kammanta after that. So this is the important thing about Ditti. So the two main things, ignorance and Ditti. Ignorance and Ditti. That keeps the thing going.
Do you think that, like Anna said, do you think that is our evolutionary, like hardwiring from millions of years of evolution?
Yeah.
We just want to survive and reproduce and kill this animal, kill that animal.
Yeah.
And we're primitive animals, but we have this metacognition, but we are primitive, aren't we?
It is part of the evolution. No, if you have studied Aggañña Sutra, you know that Buddha said that. When you evolved, animals, when they were by themselves, then all these bad things were developed in their mind. Right? Then when you, for better living and for multiplying, you get hold of other members. Then some good things come. Like caring for your partner, caring for your children, like that. Then you find that groups are much better. Living like groups are much better and better protection from others. Then comes the precepts.
Yes.
Like that in evolution, it grows up. The wholesome things grow up, but you are born with unwholesome mental factors. That's why Buddha said that even very nicely he has explained. He said, an infant, few days old, is lying flat on its back. It has no notion about myself or anything. And it has nothing at all. He said still, he has inside him inherited bad thoughts, anusaya. He said even Ditti is there inside him, the seeds of Ditti. It's given in a sutra called I forget the name, Maha Mallyunkaputta Sutra. He says even an infant who cannot move, lying, has inside him latent seeds of all these bad thoughts. So they are not born on a blank slate. They don't develop bad things completely by learning. In fact, now science is saying that what you inherit is only 30%, and what you learn from your surroundings is 37%, that is 67%. They don't know what the rest is. What do you think?
So what I would like to ask is, do you think Nibbana means escaping from evolution? Because that's what I'm starting to think.
That you are stopping birth.
Yeah, but then you have to go against millions of years of biological programming.
That is why it's difficult.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Escape, only way escape is to stop birth, rebirth. That's the only way. And to do that, first we must develop the liking to do that. The moment we say we stop rebirth, it creates fear in most people. When I heard it first, when I started studying Buddhism, it created fear in me. Oh my God, paradise is better than this thing, where you are going to live happily. But then there is no paradise. Buddha said it is wishful thinking. It is like building a staircase. And when somebody asks, why are you building a staircase? I am building a staircase to build a house in the sky. Like that. So this is why it is gradual thinking, and this is very important. We are almost done now. I hope it was not idle talk, because we are not supposed to do idle talk during the period of 8 precepts. And if I have said something not correct, please let me know. And you know, this discussing Buddhism or Dhamma is one of the good deeds, Dhamma Sākacchā. So let this good deed be a foundation for our enlightenment later in samsara. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. In Islam, we need the Kalyana Mitra, isn't it?
Kalyana Mitra.
So it's nice that you brought up these.
I think it's tea time, I think. It's tea time now.